morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Blackbright and broadcasting out of the UK. Don't claim to be an expert. I just share my views and my opinion, and that's about it on various matters that affect my people. When I say my people, it's my black people. And sometimes, you know, because we don't have time to read and we don't have time to keep up to par with a lot of things that are going on, I sometimes think that, you know, you shouldn't be prejudiced or made vulnerable because you don't have the information, which is why I share it with you for no other reason. I just think there are certain things out there that people should know about. And I'm getting angrier and angrier every time I learn something about what's happening, what's going to happen. And now we're talking about the ID, the citizen ID card, which was meant to be for Eastern Europeans, to be rolled out, you know, post-Brexit and through the transition period. But what they're saying is even British citizens are supposed to have an ID card now. Everybody, every Brit, regardless of what status you are. And it just reminds me of that chip, you know, the one that they're putting in people's hands in certain countries, you know, a way of monitoring and all that kind of stuff. They're saying it's voluntary, but that's what they always say. They said that chip was voluntary, but they've made it in such a way in Switzerland, or is it Sweden, one of the two, where they've already started using that chip so they can get into buildings and use it for their bank account. And it's very, very sinister. I don't like the sound of it. I don't like where this is going. Anyway, they're introducing this this citizen ID card after Brexit. So I guess it's going to take over. I don't know if it's going to take over the passport. I don't know what it's going to take over. You know it's going to be biometrics. You know it's going to be fingerprints. You know it's going to have your eyes on it and all that kind of stuff. And as people usually say, if you're not a criminal, if you're not doing anything wrong, why worry? But it's how the information is being used. It's how it's being targeted. I remember watching a video where they were showing drones that could target people based on the colour of their eyes. You know what I mean? You just don't know. Sometimes you get into all these conspiracy theories, but I just don't like the idea. Can understand them using it for people coming into the country, for identifying. They're saying now, oh, if those people in the Windrush had an ID card, a lot of them would have been deported. They're not saying if they hadn't have lost all their documents or got rid of all their deportation documents, which was probably quite deliberate, because how can a government lose such important documentation as landing cards? How can they do that? It has to be deliberate. But you know what? Who am I to say? Who am I to say? I know, you know, when you're working for a government agency, you have to be so scrupulous when it comes to records. So scrupulous. I mean, that is a breach. That kind of goes to the Guardian, the Caldecott Guardian. Losing information like that. It's a breach of, you know, public, was it not public information? I forget what it's called now. When you, when people's personal information, data, it's a breach of the Data Protection Act, losing all that information. So how come it just slips under the carpet like that, slips under the rug? Something as gross, as big as that, as people's documentation of when they arrived in the country. Oh, it was destroyed, just like that. And now you're using that as an excuse to introduce British citizens' ID cards. I'll tell you something, there's more to this than meets the eye. Anyway, the European nationals, of course, they're worried. They're supposed to be okay. The transition period finishes in December 2020, I believe. If they haven't done their 5 years up until that point, they are allowed to legally stay in the country until they've reached that point, and then they can ask for settled status. But it's all very ominous, and like I said, this is just to throw it out there to let you know what's going on, let you know the plans that they have for all us little people. And yeah, so that's all for now. Short and sweet. Bye bye.